Hello YouTube and welcome to the channel. Now then, today's video is going to be concerning this beastie, the Wltoys 104310. We're going to be doing an unboxing and a run and a review with it. And that's right, I said run because we're actually going to take this one outside and try it this time. Because it belongs to me, so I'm going to do with it what I please. It's a 1/10 scale crawler from Wltoys. It's probably, as far as I'm aware, one of the cheapest 1/10 scale crawlers you can buy. Here in the UK you can get these for as little as 45 quid on eBay, which is approximately $62, so they are super cheap. How good they are though is another matter, because they are very cheap. The thing that piqued my interest with it not only was the fact that it was cheap, but it's got a motor at the front and the back. So it's got two motors, two 280 motors I think. Like I say, I'm not expecting a fantastic amount out of it, but we shall see. I might be pleasantly surprised. But anyway, it's too big to sort of unbox on the desk here, so I'm going to use a little bit of YouTube magic and we're going to unbox it. 1, 2, 3. Ta-da! Okay then, in the box we get the vehicle, some instructions with a battery charger and a little screwdriver, and a controller, and that's it basically. The battery, I believe, should be in this compartment here. Let's just grab this little screwdriver that comes with it. Let's have a look. It should be in here anyway. If not, I've been stiffed. Ah, there we go. The battery lives in there. It's like it's basically, it looks like the same one as you get in an MM models, D99, etc. It's like a little 1200 milliamp hour, 7.4 volt lithium ion with the same connectors and the same very thin battery wires. It doesn't look much of a battery to power this beast really, but anyway, there's the battery. Let's just screw this back on. The controller you get with it looks very similar to other Wltoys models, except instead of the trim knobs that you get with the other ones, you've got these weird sort of buttons. So the electronics in this must be significantly different from, say, the A959 and the 12428, etc. So, but we'll have a look in a minute and see what they're like. Right, the first impression you get is the size of the thing. It is 1/10 scale, so it's absolutely huge. These tyres are massive. They feel quite plasticky, not very rubbery, but to be honest, you know, I sort of expect that at 45 quid. Plus I must admit, the whole thing feels a bit shonky, a bit toy grade, but again, I keep telling myself it's only 45 quid, so we're going to have to forgive it a certain amount. Now, underneath we have this very strange arrangement of a motor and a gearbox on each axle. So we've got the motor sort of lives in here, and it's powered, you know, there's no drive shaft or anything. It's connected actually to a little gearbox inside that drives the axle shaft, if you like. And it's got one front and rear. What this is going to be like on the trail, if you like, I don't know. We'll have to try and find out. The suspension is just basically a spring and a rod. There's no dampening here whatsoever. But I will say this, you do get a fair amount of axle travel out of it. Now, whether it's got the power to actually make the best out of that axle travel, I don't honestly know. It does. Everything is very loose. You know, there's quite a lot of play in these tie rods here on the axles. Everything's plastic. I wouldn't expect anything to be metal at this price point, to be honest. Looks wise, I think it looks absolutely fantastic. I really do like this 1/10 body shell that they've put on. I have noticed a couple of things. There are a couple of pins missing out of this side anyway, and whether it does yeah, there are a couple of pins missing out of this side as well. So, so it must have been a Friday afternoon job, this. It steers, it's very difficult to tell, it steers via this very strange looking servo mounted on top of the front axle. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it's like a normal servo, so we might have to have a look at that, a closer look at that later on. And yeah, I think if I remember rightly, reading somewhere else, that there's a spring inside that helps these massive tyres, helps this servo return these massive tyres to a central position. Because I can imagine these do take some shifting. The other thing was, I was looking at this thing, I was racking my brains because it looks very, very familiar. It looks like something else. And I know what it is. I think that this body is either the same or a copy of a HSP RGT Rockhammer. And I think it might be the same because there's a few things on here that don't belong. One of the ones is the fact that the body is hinged at the front. Well, there's no need, because the battery's underneath and the electronics, basically on this, it's just like an electronics board like you'd get in an MN or a WPL. It's just like literally a circuit board, not like the little units that you get on the 12, 428, etc. It's literally an exposed board, so you cannot get this wet at all. But the bodywork hinges underneath there, so it lifts up. But like I say, there's no real need for it to do that because the battery, you get to the battery from underneath, and there's no need to get in to swap anything really. And also, I'll just take you up the back. On the back, we've got this awful looking plastic tyre. Now that's on. Now normally there's 3 R clips on here, but I have taken them off just to show you. But underneath, there looks like, let's get my finger in it, a hell of a compartment for a LiPo battery or something to sit. But like I say, this really doesn't warrant it because the battery lives underneath in that little compartment. So I've got a sneaky feeling that the body on this is a direct copy or is the same as HSP RGT. And there are spotlights here with little clips in to accept LEDs, but obviously there aren't. So now, one of the criticisms I have heard levelled at this particular RC is the fact that you can't get any spares for it. But a quick check online revealed that that wasn't the case. If you go on eBay, you can buy the spares for them. So if that's something that's putting you off, then don't let it, because you can get all the bits and pieces. You might have to buy a lump or an assembly, but you can get all the spares for it on eBay. I've charged the battery up and I've bunged some batteries in the controller. You need 4 AAs, by the way, same as lots of other Wltoys controllers. The steering, despite the fact that that servo looks a very strange affair, is proportional. This axle, the steering mechanism inside, is actually spring-loaded as well, I think to help the servo centre the wheels, because they're fair wheels to turn really when it's on the ground. But it does a good job. I mean, it's not like mega quick, but it's not mega slow either. Throttle is proportional too. Not very fast, but you wouldn't expect it to be honest. Front and rear. So all that's left really is for me to stop waffling and we'll actually go and try this thing, see what it's actually like. Right, back indoors now. What did we think about Wltoys 104310? I'm going to be honest with you guys, when I first got this out of the box, I thought this thing is going to be absolutely useless. I thought there's no way on God's green earth it's going to be able to do anything remotely interesting other than probably roll around on a flat car park. But I'm quite pleasantly surprised actually. Let's list some good and bad points, I think. We'll start with the bad points first. The suspension. It's no finesse with this thing at all. It's very cheap suspension, and it just shakes, rattles and rolls over bumps and obstacles. Everything makes a noise. It's just not refined, and there's no finesse to to the running gear of it whatsoever. Second bad point is it has because it's got two motors, it has a very strange quirk, I think. And I think it's all to do with the fact that the board doesn't supply enough power. But you'll quite often get one of the axles, one motor, will stall out when it comes up against an obstacle. But all you've got to do really to remedy this is reverse and then have at it again. If you've been used to perhaps a more expensive crawler or something with a bit more torque, you'd be used to having been able to use smaller throttle inputs to do what you want. But with this, you need to give it the beans, otherwise, like I say, at low speeds, these motors tend to stall out and will stop. So you've just got to recalibrate your driving a little bit and really use the mass and momentum of the thing coupled with a bit more throttle, and generally it'll get over most obstacles that you throw at it. Good points. Price, 45 quid. It's not a lot of money in anybody's book to spend on something like this, especially a 10th scale crawler. It's cheap as you like, so all the quality issues that you might come across, I think we can forgive it for it only being 45 quid. Second good point, battery life. It's about 25 minutes. I was quite surprised actually how long the battery lasted, and I don't know if it's due to it's only got a pair of small motors, but 25 minutes runtime, that can't be bad at all. Now the best bit of all though is the fact that it's actually quite reasonable off-road. Now, like I said to you before, when I first got it out of the box, I thought this thing is going to be absolutely trash. It just doesn't feel, it feels very much toy grade. But there's no way on God's green earth, like I say, it's going to be able to do anything. How wrong I was. It's actually not that bad. I think if you're on easy to moderate trails, this thing will pretty much do whatever you want. Now I took this on the same course that I took my 12 429 when I redid the diffs, and this pretty much got round the same course as my 12 429 did without really any major hiccups. Sometimes you have to, like I say, you get the motor stalling. Sometimes you have to back off a little bit and have at it again, use a bit of momentum. But it pretty much did everything that my 12 429 did. So really, from that standpoint, I cannot fault it at all. Like I say, there's absolutely no finesse involved, but it will actually make a passable attempt to as a little trail truck. It's actually not that bad at all. So, would I recommend the Wltoys 104310? And the answer is a resounding yes. Yes, I would, absolutely. At 45 quid, you cannot go wrong. If you're obviously used to more expensive crawlers, then this isn't going to be for you. But if you're just starting out and you've only got 50 quid or so to spend and you want a 10th scale crawler, you could do a lot worse than buy one of these, honestly. For light to moderate trail use, I think it's absolutely spot on. If you've got kids and you want to introduce them to crawling, this is an excellent door to start off with. 45 quid, if they hate it, you've not lost anything really. And to be honest, I think it's an absolute bargain. Like I say, it's a bit plasticky, a little bit. It gives the appearance of being a bit toy grade, but when you actually use it, it's actually quite reasonable. And I think it would benefit, and this might be a future video, it might benefit from an electronics upgrade, and perhaps trying to find some oil-filled damper units instead of these, well, springs. So yes, I would wholeheartedly recommend this. It's not actually that bad at all. I was quite surprised, and pleasantly so. As ever, if you found this content of some use and interest, give it a thumbs up. And if you're feeling that way inclined, hit that subscribe button below. It makes a big difference to the channel. Some exciting collaborations coming up, like I said to you before. Something I'm really excited about. So if you want to see more similar content like this in the future, don't forget to check back. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.